All right, today I'm going to talk about reality and fantasy and how these two things actually need to work together. And there's a system to that, that if you learn to master this system, your fantasy world then will eventually become your reality. This is something that I've actually experienced and incorporated into my life over the last 5 years. And I'm trying to break it down real quick for you today so that you understand what I'm talking about. And the idea is dream, to dream big, to actually desire this dream life for yourself and figure out a way to actually get there. But you can't get there unless you dream first. But you also have to get real about where you're at today. And you might hear somebody say, oh, if you're talking about a dream, like, oh, you need to get real. And they say that because they're really negative and they're saying get real because there's no way that you could actually achieve that. And that's what we tend to think. There's no way that I could actually get that dream life if I'm real about who I am today as a person, or what my skills and abilities are, or what my environment is, or the hand that's been dealt me. Well, I'm here to tell you that's a bunch of bullcrap, because it's actually very simple, but you have to do the work. Now, the work's very simple. So what I want to illustrate for you here is a little timeline of your life, where you're at now. Like, this is your life. Let's make it in a, that's terrible right there. If we put it in the form of a house, like my great drawing skills right here, like this is the house you've built. This is your life. This is what it is right now. Take time to dream big. If I had to dream about something with no constraints on it, like what would my ideal situation be like? A year, 2 years, 10 years, whatever time frame you want to make it, and just draw that picture. And this illustration is just to show you that this house is bigger than this house. But there's a certain person that lives in this house, right? This person looks like that. These are all the drawing skills you need, by the way, to teach lessons. You don't need awesome drawing skills. You can work on them, they can get better. This person lives inside of this house. This person created this house, okay? The person that lives in this house is much bigger, is much more qualified to live in this house. This person has more skills, has better mindsets, has more abilities, has more influence than this person. That's pretty obvious, right? But when we think about fantasy versus reality, we think, oh my gosh, like, I can't go from here to here. Actually, some people think they can. So, people try to hit home runs sometimes. Well, what happens there is they try to make this huge leap, and they end up down here, and they kind of fall into this ditch or this pit, and they quit, and they kind of end up back where they started. But what I want to put in your mind right now is to say, don't focus on the house in this situation. Like, dream about your house, what your life looks like across every part of your life, not just your house, but this is where my drawing's taking me, right? Instead of focusing on what you've built or what you have, focus on the person. What is the difference between this person, who you are right now, and this person, the person that created this? Because this person is not going to create this. So when you're in planning, if you're willing to commit to this process of planning, think about yourself, not everything that's around you or everything that you want. Don't think, how do I get the bigger house? Think, who do I need to become in order to get here. And what you do there is you start identifying these big gaps. There's going to be a lot of them, and that's fine, because I'm going to show you why you need to just settle on that here in just a second. There's going to be gaps, right? So what we want to do is understand that, first of all, we're not going to try to go all the way at one time. No. What we're going to do is we're going to say, I just want to make a step. In order to get from here to here, it's going to be a series of steps. And this is not drawn very well to scale. That's okay. But when I go through each step, my phone rings in the middle of a live video. When I go through each step, I understand that I'm just building a house that's a little bit bigger. I'm building a life or a scenario or a situation for myself that's a little bit bigger. And whenever I look at myself inside of that house, it's not that big of a change. And when I start to think about the differences between this person and this person, it's not as overwhelming. I think about it and it's like, oh, if I want to make $250,000 more per year, I got a lot of skill sets I got to improve to get there. But if I want to make $5,000 or $10,000 more a year, what do I need to get better at? That's probably more doable. When we can't come up with a path, we don't do it. Why would we? If I can't see how I can get to a certain destination, I'm not going to start driving. But if I see a clear path and it's a smaller destination, a smaller length, I can see that and I can go and I can do it. But here's what's cool. You can see here, as you go step by step, there's just bigger and bigger levels of self. And eventually, you can get here. And you will. This has actually happened for me. This is what we call setting an impossible target. Do this in 12 to 18 month time frames in our planning, individually and with companies. And what's crazy is that people want to spend time talking about step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. When we try to plan these steps, they're never the path that it takes to get to here. So what's so interesting about that is the teams that I work with, and even myself, I've gone back and looked at the history of the goals that I've set, and let's just call these annual and quarterly goals. All the not all the time. A lot of the times, nope, didn't do that, didn't do that, didn't do that. At least not according to what my plan was. Here's the interesting thing about it. I don't hit these goals for my life, but I hit the goals for myself. So on my way to creating what I thought was the reality I wanted, I didn't get the fruit of that labor in terms of the thing, but I became the person. Along this way, along this way, along this way here. The long-term vision never changed. And I built myself up enough as an individual to actually become this person and accomplish this goal, the longer-term goal. So, what does that tell us? A few things. Number one, the long-term vision is more important than the path. The destination is more important than the path. And who you're becoming on the inside as a person, your values, your skills, your persistence, your grit, all those things grow as you strive for your long-term vision. So I'm going to give you the good news and the bad news. The bad news is this starts to shrink down And we just have to do it all over again. So that's the bad news. Is the good news is it's a much greater reality. Oh, and I'm off the screen. Here we go. Come back over here. So what was the bigger version in my first example suddenly becomes the little version again. You've got a better life compared to you a year ago. But you do that process all over again. So you start to think even bigger. It's the same process. You become a bigger version of you. And you continue to do that over the course of years. Look at what can happen here. This person here and this life here becomes unrecognizable to the version of you that once was. But it can't happen dramatically. It has to happen in small steps, in small increments.